In my family, we try and commit to not buying lots of new things. So we'll try and buy second hand, or amongst friends, we regift things. So we'll regift a book.
They are on a wire frame, but at the end of the season, I do also offer people to just bring back the whole wreath if they want, and I'll take it all apart.
Then generally I'm left with a batch of spices that still got loads of flavour, loads of power to them, tangerine zest that have been through rum. I've given a load to Sophia Gallo, the chef in Milton Keynes.
Siren, Craft Brewing and Mad Squirrel that are local have been really good to us, and they take them back and drop them into their normal recycling pattern. They don't have to do that, and they're not obliged to, but they deal with it because they're used to dealing with it.
If you've been shopping in small businesses who work with these brands, you'll have been doing it naturally anyway.
This week on the podcast, I dive into how small local businesses are uniquely positioned to help us have a green Christmas as well as a local one.
I know sustainability sometimes is a bit of a buzzword, but if we were talking about kind of having a greener Christmas, both generally like just general tips and in terms of things that you offer, what does that kind of look like?
Of course, if I'm going to talk about sustainability and having a greener Christmas, I absolutely had to speak to Henny at the refill shop in town. She starts our podcast this week by giving us some top tips about how to have a sustainable or greener Christmas.
I think probably I always say with sustainability, coming from a personal experience, of the biggest thing around Christmas is pressure. That's what's going to scupper any sustainability goals, because you can go in with really good intentions, but as soon as you feel that pressure to go and buy loads of new gifts and buy kind of wrap everything up in like new packaging and all these things like overgoing on food, that's where the real kind of unsustainable practices come in. So definitely, for example, in my family, we try and commit to not buying lots of new things. So we'll try and buy second hand, or amongst friends, we regift things. So we'll regift a book. And sometimes it's like really hard to stick to that when you come up to the pressure of Christmas and you suddenly think that they're not going to like it. That's not going to be good enough. So definitely having really good communication with your family and friends about what your expectations are. And again, around food, I think it is that planning ahead, thinking, okay, what do we need? What do we want? And again, sticking to that. And it helps to think of budget, especially at the moment, because I think that can be a really nice way to kind of think about, well, we could do this in a really budget-friendly way for everyone that makes it accessible. So that's kind of a mindset thing. And then in terms of actual practical tips, as I've said, regifting is great, shopping secondhand. Thinking about packaging, you can use scarves or fabric cut-offs. That's really nice, and get creative with that. Or reusing like newspaper can actually be really fun. Again, if you've communicated that's what you're doing. And then around gifting, we love gifting food. There's no wastage. No one's going to be unhappy with that. So things like chocolates are always really good. Things that people can use, or experiences as well, like giving people a gift to a workshop, which obviously we have so many local businesses in Leighton Buzzard that are going to be running workshops in the new year.
But are there things in terms of sustainable gifts from your shop in particular? What do people really go for?
So we try and have different levels of gifting, and we have things like snack jars. So they're really popular, where we layer our different snacks or different sweets, particularly like the different chocolates, in a nice jar. And then they get a jar as well they can reuse. And then we do like tea gift sets. So it's like hot drinks. So we have herbal teas, which people really love at Christmas. We do a coffee set as well. We have the coffee from Milk and Beans. And then the hampers, we do like a baking hamper. So we put different flours, sugars in there, things like cacao nibs. We kind of personalise that. So the mulled wine spice kits are really popular as well. We put all your spices and some tea bags in for mulling wine or cider, or just apple juice for non-alcoholic. And then this year we've also got like a make your own hot chocolate set as well. So we've got hot chocolate powder, and then we've got different toppings you can add onto it. So I think giving that novelty of an experience as well is really popular for us. And we do gift cards.
When you think about recycling, you're probably thinking about recycling the same kinds of things that we recycle in our own homes. But Luke from Three Counties Spirits has a different take on that.
I just try to reuse as much as I can. So my spices, whole spices that go into my spiced rum, then go into a second batch of rum, which go into my dark spice and my tangerine rum. I then pick out the vanilla pods, and they go into my dialed liqueur. Then generally I'm left with a batch of spices that still got loads of flavour, loads of power to them, tangerine zest that have been through rum. So I've given a load to Sophia Gallo, the chef in Milton Keynes, and I'm trying to find other chefs and people like that can just take them. Don't want anything for them. They've done their bit for me, and do that. I make my dark spice rum basically out of a waste product from the distillation process. So once the first round of distillations happen, the leftover kind of molassesy water, it's called dunder, and I turn that into an essence with high proof rum, and then I add that into more rum, and it kind of gives you the deep treacly flavoured dark rum. And then I've got my refill pouches, so trying to limit on how much glass we get through, and also it's more widely recyclable.
As always, one of the things that struck me when I was asking our small local businesses these questions is just how much they're engaged in the process of making sure that their businesses are sustainable in any way that they can.
Our business is bottles and cans.
Jonathan from the Bottle House fills us in on how they manage to recycle around 98% of the waste from the shop.
And actually, it's quite easy to do that. So we've bought into a company that our bins are collected. I've got a glass bin, so all of the bottles obviously go into glass, and then dry recycling, which is cans, and we get a lot of cardboard because stuff's delivered in cardboard boxes. And it would be, I say easy, but that could just go into a bin. So we've just got 2 clear things. It all goes in. It's collected every week. It's fantastic from our point of view, but it's good to know that stuff's being recycled. Also, we have our kegs are fully recyclable, but it's a pain. And you need to depressurize them and unscrew the top bit. And I do that for the ones that we have, the odd ones we have, but actually Siren, Craft Brewing and Mad Squirrel that are local have been really good to us, and they take them back and drop them into their normal recycling pattern. They don't have to do that, and they're not obliged to, but because they deliver every week to us and we've got that kind of relationship with them, they deal with it because they're used to dealing with it. So I just have to struggle at home, much to my wife's disgust, spilling beer out on the lawn, trying to do all that. But it is great that even the kegs are recyclable as well. And we are linked with the local refill store, so our only snacks that we have are in big glass jars, and you get a scoop in a little pot, and then people fall in love with them and then generally go and buy them from her. So it's kind of, we do as much as we can, and we tiny bit, probably 2% of our waste goes into chuck out black bin, and it's silly bits and pieces like tissue paper and stuff like that.
If you're looking to gift more intentionally this Christmas, then gift vouchers are a great way to do that. And I would totally encourage you to get in touch with any local business, whether or not they're telling you that they do gift vouchers, as so many of them are happy to do them, even if it's not part of their usual offer. Alice from Book fills me in on the different gift voucher options that they have.
So we've talked about different ways to get book recommendations, but if you really don't know what somebody wants, do you also do gift cards?
We do. We sell national book tokens, but then we also sell gift cards for our bookshop. They're available to buy in the store. They never expire. You can top them up constantly. I have quite a few parents, actually, regulars, that use them for pocket money for their kids, so that they know that at least some of the pocket money gets spent on a book, rather than maybe sweeties and things like that. So they are available in the shop, and they can be topped up with any amount of money you wish. And then your loved one or your friend can come into the shop, and we can provide some recommendations for them as well. So yeah, if you can't decide what to get a gift card.
When it comes to sustainability, one of the things that struck me is that so many of our local businesses have just simply had it baked in from the moment they set themselves up.
So I guess sustainability is kind of quite a hot topic in fashion at the moment. Is it something that you think about as a business, and how does that kind of inform what you stock in the shop, I guess, like what goes on in your business?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely come into the fore as a topic in people's minds.
As Joe from Kings Road explains, sometimes this is just as simple as making sure you work with other brands who reflect your own integrity and values.
We're so grateful that we've always worked with really good brands who have always had high degree of ethics, usually managing their own supply chains and things like that, great fabrics and qualities, and then we'd always choose things which were a little bit unique and timeless, so that they weren't like throwaway of the moment fashion items as much. So there was always this sort of baseline of sustainability, because everything was built to last, and you were going to fall in love with it and keep it for a really long time. And what I'm seeing now is an increase in awareness around all of the aspects in terms of the fabrics, the supply chains, the life of the product, all that sort of thing. And brands are really supporting us because they're doing a lot more work and investment into sustainable practices. And so we're able to choose product that aligns with us, that we love, that will work for our customer, but also know that it's come from good, eco-friendly, sustainable and people-friendly, particularly is important, practices.
Yeah. And do you see, with people that come into the shop, are they also like quite engaged in that? Do you hear about lots of people like outfit repeating and things like that?
We always have. There's never been any shame around wearing something over and over again. In fact, we've always been so proud. We'd come in going, look, I'm still wearing this. I suppose it's just the framing, in current times, it's sort of bringing your attention to it. But actually, if you've been shopping in small businesses who work with these sort of brands, you'll have been doing it naturally anyway.
And do you have people who come in and they want to gift something, but they're just finding it really difficult to gift for somebody else?
It is hard to choose for other people sometimes. I think, you've got to try and get into their mindset of what they're going to like, and everybody wants to get it right. So we do find sometimes people will choose a gift voucher so they can give the voucher knowing that they love, whoever they're giving it to loves the shop, and will come and choose something that they really want, after Christmas.
I know we've got some other small businesses locally who do vintage or secondhand items. Is that something that you've considered doing as well?
We have considered doing it. In the past, we have done a little event where people would bring in some old Kings Road clothes that they're no longer wearing, and then we resold them. And we were thinking about this, following on from sort of exploring more sustainable issues. And actually, that would be a really great thing that we could do, because people, they have lovely things and maybe they're not wearing them, or maybe they don't fit anymore or whatever, but they're in absolute perfect condition, beautiful quality things, and they would give someone else a lot of joy. So we have started exploring whether that's something we could do, maybe as a pop-up, or it may be in the upstairs space in Leighton Buzzard. It's got 2 floors, so it's definitely something you'll see us maybe asking about whether anyone's interested in the future.
And if your business is quite literally greenery, then what is greener than taking that back and recycling it after Christmas, as Helen from Bits and Buds explains.
So for Christmas, you make Christmas wreaths and table decorations, other things like that, obviously made from natural foliage. There's a sustainability element there. Yeah. But are there other ways that you create them that make them greener for Christmas?
Yeah, so I use moss, same as ever, on all of my bases. Whatever work it is, I'll use biodegradable moss. So that's really good. They are on a wire frame, but at the end of the season, I do also offer people to just bring back the whole wreath if they want, and I'll take it all apart, and then I can reuse, the frames or whatever else. So you don't have that kind of landfill guilt that you're just chucking something out. But also, to be honest, they're so good. Loads of people just keep them up throughout the year in their garden. I've still got my one from the end of last year, actually, which is balmy. No, it's not looking hot, but it's still held together. It's good for Halloween, which we've just had, but people do keep them up until Mother's Day and things, still kind of as a decoration in their garden. It's so lovely. So I feel like that in itself is quite sustainable. Like, this is not a short-lived product, but yeah, taking off any decorations that work and can be used again. You can keep stuff off it. You've got ribbons and things on there which you can keep and repurpose the following year. And yeah, frames, metal wreath frames, bring them back.
Yeah.
And I'll make use of them again.
Yeah. I've done that. I've put my wreath that I made at your workshop in the garden.
Yeah.
And then when it's starting to look a bit sad, as you just mentioned, I take it apart and it goes in, like, we've got a little sort of makeshift bug hotel.
Oh,
and
nice.
I stuff all the bits in there.
Yeah.
So they've got like extra
Loads
foliage.
of stuff to crawl about in. Yeah,
so that's quite a good one.
Another great option is giving the gift of an experience. I spoke to Sarah and Carrie, who run Happy Dashery and the workshop next door, about how their workshops can be an ideal way to give somebody the gift of time this Christmas.
I think looking at Happy Dashery and the workshop, for us, we do gift vouchers and things like that, so people can actually buy what they want rather than what somebody else thinks that they want and doesn't. With the workshop, we do a lot of gift voucher sales before Christmas. The crafting side of things, I think actually somebody being given the gift of a workshop and being able to actually to make something and then actually have that as a skill that they can take away and actually can carry on doing. So obviously crochet or like macrame, it's just really nice, really good for your head, and actually just actually being able to get that enjoyment. And
it's also an experience, isn't it? Because you come for a few hours, you meet like-minded people, you have a glass of Prosecco or a glass of a cup of tea or a biscuit. It's just an event rather than just learning a skill. It's a proper night out, which is nice.
And also that cheesy line of it being the gift that keeps on giving. We have so many people that kind of have come along and have actually like learnt crochet or then done the crochet baskets and have then actually gifted people the crochet baskets that they've been making. And it's kind of that whole thing where actually it's just a really nice positive way to spend some time.
We also in Happy Dashery have all the green gifts. So we've got the reusable wraps that we've sold for several years and neon cactus mugs, which are incredible for keeping your drinks hot. And we also have seed balls, which obviously then plant and give the person you're gifting flowers.
Well, we've obviously got all the soaps as well, which are really lovely. Whether it's the OC vegan soaps or the paper plain, like the solid shampoos and the sugar scrubs that are just amazing. We've also been buying them locally from Willow and Myrtle. Her soaps are just incredible. They smell amazing. She makes them all in sort of like small batches as well. We've also got Plan B toys that we actually buy in from as well, and they're based over in Thailand, but all of the carbon is offset. They're all sustainable. They're made with wood pulp, which is actually waste from some of the other processes that are used by the other industries around that area of Thailand. And not only that, but they also employ, as their kind of product testers, they employ local blind people to actually be able to actually feel all the faults in the toys, which is just amazing.
As is so often the case when I record content for this podcast, everyone I spoke to seemed to take sustainability and totally turn it on its head. And what I mean by that is, in a time where other companies are really struggling to do something sustainable and maybe using greenwashing to tell you that they are when they're not, our local small businesses just seem to do it naturally. It seemed obvious to them that they would be doing something green or sustainable for us, not just for Christmas, but for the whole year round. If you like this episode and you want to listen to the last one in this series, that will be next week, so subscribe now to make sure you get it first.